Continue. All right, kia ora koutou katoa. He karakia. Manawa mai te Māori nuku, manawa mai te Māori rangi, ko te Māori keo, he Māori te pua, ka pakaru mai te pō, tau mai te Māori, haumie, huie, taiki e. No mai, haere mai. It is so genuinely delightful to see so many people on this call, and I just want to quickly do a few acknowledgements. Firstly, to Julia and whānau at People for People for bringing us all together. Secondly, to my Global Shapers whānau, I should introduce myself properly. Ko Benji Tene. I am the curator of the Global Shapers Auckland Hub. I'm going to let Bella tell you a bit more about us in a moment. But also, I just want to acknowledge our amazing speakers that we're all prepared to tune in for. So I'm really looking forward to your little bits of kōrero. And I want to acknowledge the guests. Thank you so much for coming along and joining in with us today. Bella, can you please share a little bit about Global Shapers?
Yeah, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa, ko Annabelle taku ingoa. Thank you for joining us for this World Economic Forum Global Shapers Davos dialogue event, focusing on digital inclusion from a Māori and Pacifica perspective, in partnership with People for People. The World Economic Forum, or WEF, is a global organisation that brings together business leaders, government and key stakeholders across society, with the purpose of driving change towards a better world. One of the key ways WEF creates impact at a local level is through their Global Shapers Network, who are young leaders recognised for driving change in their own community. The Auckland Hub has over 25 members with diverse backgrounds, and we work on a range of projects. The Davos Lab event tonight is a part of a new initiative by WEF that aims to mobilise all interested citizens, stakeholders and decision makers to shape 10 big youth-driven recovery efforts for the current decade. The Auckland Hub has been focusing lately on one of the 10 pillars, digital inclusion, as well as bridging the digital divide, especially for Māori and Pacifica communities. A kaupapa that is being championed by two of our shapers, Julia and Saya, through their organisation People for People. Their mission is to strengthen digital empowerment in Eteroa. I am absolutely delighted to have Julia here tonight, along with our panellists, and I'll hand it over to her to introduce them and kick us off.
Amazing. Thanks, Benji. Thanks, Bella. Talofa lava, everyone. I feel honoured to be able to facilitate this panel and bring all of my clever friends and wider whānau on a call together and be all very professional for the World Economic Forum, but absolutely be our whole selves as well. So thanks for creating this space, Bella and Benji, and giving me a bit of a microphone. I really appreciate that. I'm just going to start with, I think most people know who I am, but just briefly, talofa lava, again, my name's Julia. I'm a co-founder of People for People with the wonderful Saya Mātaele, who I think might be joining us in a little bit, and also a proud member of Global Shapers. I am of Samoan descent. I have recently moved back to Aotearoa about a year ago. I work in the tech space and I'm really passionate about digital equity. And that's basically why we started People for People and are causing a whole bunch of ruckus in the tech industry. And so I'm really proud to start up a bit of an awesome talanoa kōrero today with my wonderful panelists, who I will ask to introduce themselves, and then we'll kind of kick off into a conversation about digital inclusion. So I'm going to ask Kris. Kris, could you please introduce yourself this evening?
Ora whānau, Kris from up here in Taitukarau, up in Whangarei. I've got a background as a teacher, and more recently working with MSD in youth programs and work-ready programs, and jumping back in the education sector next week as a PLD facilitator for digital technologies. So yeah, getting back to my interests, working with the kids and working with the teachers to bring digital technologies to the forefront up here in Whangarei and around. Kia ora, everyone.
Amazing. Kia ora, Kris. Thank you. And I will have the lovely Nina introduce herself, please.
Yeah. Kia rana koutou katoa. My name is Nina Oberg Humphries. I am from the amazing town of Ototahi, born and bred, and I akapapa back to the Cook Islands, Matavira. I'm a multimedia artist that makes work about what it looks like to be a second generation New Zealand born Cook Islander. I work for Christchurch City Libraries, where I design tech-based programs for community. And I also run, with one of my beautiful friends, Janai Tiratana, a trust called Tangata Moana, which aims to give STEM education and experiences through Pacific arts, language and culture for our Pacific people. Kia ora.
Couldn't unmute myself because you were that good. I was just lost in silence there, Nina. Thank you. The wonderful Cam, please, could you introduce yourself?
Mauri ora kia tātou. E ko ana te ngākau I tae mai ahau I tēnei pō. I rungo I te reo karanga o te rā. Nō reira, ka nui te mihi. Kia tātou katoa. Ko runga whakaata tuku iwi. I te rohi o Tūranga Nui a Kiwa, te tai rāwhiti. Kei kiri roa ahau e noa ana, engari no manutiki ahau, ko Cameron Nepe tōku ingoa, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa.
Kia ora, Cam. Thank you. And last, but certainly not least, the beautiful, the wonderful Eteroa. I'd love to hear a little bit about you.
Blessed. Whātalo whātu taupa ia ma tau mamalu le nei pō. Ia, e mō lava o te si le whaftai, ma le vinga le toa, a wālonga anglelei, manong wha maongi tātou tangata. Talo lava, malo ni, malo lelei, pula, and warm Pacific greetings to you all. My name is Eteroa, Tusi Pepa, Umanga Lafaele, Ngamala Ulu. My father is from the village of Whongapoa in Whaasilileanga in Savai. My beautiful mother is from Numuenga and Lefanga in Upolu. Now, even though I hail from the beautiful islands of Samoa, born and bred in the place of champions, Cannons Creek, Puriroa, let's go. 5024 happy all day, every day in the valley. Yes! I'm current, for the last 3 to 4 years, I've been a software engineer, and currently I've just joined Xero as a developer evangelist. But in the last 3 years as a dev, I've been going out and teaching a lot of next generation, and also our kaumatuas and our elders as well in regards of tech as well. So very blessed to be in this panel and excited to learn more from each and every one of us. Whaftai.
Amazing. So this is our incredible panel group this evening. This is who I'm really excited to hear about and ask some pointy questions, some interesting questions, and hear the beautiful talanoa that will unfold. So what's basically going to happen this evening, it's quite relaxed. I'm going to throw out some questions to our panelists. I'm going to let them just answer what they see fit. We're going to just basically move through the evening, asking a couple of questions, seeing what comes up, and just flowing through. We'll keep it really casual, and then we'll finish with some closing reflection from the panelists, some final words, and then that'll be that this evening. But we will ask, if you do have questions, maybe you can like fire them over. I'm going to point at Benji, please, to collate them if they do come through to him, and he can flick them over to me, and we can see what we can hopefully cover off this evening. So it's going to be an power hour essentially, and hopefully it's going to be really high energy and really interesting for all of you that have made time for us this evening, so thank you. The first question that we're going to kind of open up with this evening is, what is your definition of digital inclusion? And I might actually just pass this one over to get us going to the lovely Nina, if that's okay.
My definition of digital inclusion is everybody feeling welcome in all spaces. That's really it. That people can pick up devices, know how to use them, or see themselves in a digital world, and also can teach others how to be in that as well. So that, yeah, no matter what sphere it is, be it some cool piece of tech that's, you know, new, hip and fad, or something that's, you know, a good old Gmail that everybody feels like they have access to be able to learn about how to use them.
I love that. Cam, Kris, Eteroa, do you have any builds on that?
Yeah, just for me, Julia, just equal opportunity, you know, just like across the board, just the same opportunities for everyone to be included. Yeah.
It's like a place where, you know, totally like echo everyone else, where it's like a place where everyone's involved, but it's a place where, you know, there's access for our people, no fear in our people, because there's a lot of fear. Everyone's freaking out sometimes, and we just need to make sure we're on the same page. What's it called? We all have like real good skills, because that's a massive shortage that I've noticed, and also like a place that helps our people to find motivation and I, you know, I hope and pray, you know, in the years to come that, you know, digital inclusion really removes a lot of those things that I feel when, you know, when I see a lot of our community and stuff. So just a bit of an add-on, but totally talk all the rest of our team. Bless you.
Kris, what do you think? You're going back into the education space?
Yeah, I took what everyone else says. I think trust is probably a big part in there for a lot of our people, and trust in that the technology or the access to technology and devices and the internet is a big sort of hurdle for a lot of them to get over. And I see that happening more and more when government agencies are involved in some of the programs. So I think trust is a huge area of work-ons for our people. So I think trust of that digital space has got to be at the forefront of whatever we do there.
I want to dive a little bit deeper into that. When you talk about included and welcome and trust, what do you think are the barriers that have actually kind of created this? Like, why do you think that there isn't that sense of being welcome and or included and or trusting? What do you think have created those barriers?
I think probably the speed at which technology has advanced on us. You know, we can look at, if you're a early adopter, you've got to be a long way down your technological journey, whereas people who come in late, you know, you might not have the most up-to-date devices, or you might be in a whānau where, you know, you got 6 or 7 brothers or sisters and you've got one device in that space at home for use. So, you know, one of the biggest things I've seen through lockdown and the programs that were rolled out was we were giving away or getting access to internet for our whānau. And the biggest fear was, are they watching us? What are they going to do? What do you want for this free offer that you give us? And a lot of whānau didn't turn it on. You know, they got the devices, and then the question was, came a few months down the track, why aren't the whānau using the internet that's been provided? So we sort of took it down to it was centrally run out of Wellington. There was no on the ground at the coalface sort of people in those communities handing out the devices and the support. So yeah, there's quite a big, I guess, like Eteroa said, fear.
Yeah.
What is this for? Why am I getting this for free? What are the strings attached?
Yeah. Nina, what do you think? You used the word welcome, and I think you used that for a reason, and I'd love to understand what was the reason to use the word welcome.
You know, I think particularly for Pacific communities, we don't see ourselves in lots of spaces, particularly institutional spaces. And, you know, the internet or technology, it's another form of an institution. And so it's like, well, we need to think about how we can translate the knowledge that we already have, and how we can put that into a digital sphere to feel like we can engage, because engaging is the we talk about the fear. That's the biggest thing to get over, and to get over that we need to have knowledge. So we need to know how do all these systems work, how will they affect me, but then also how can I use them to tell my story, B, advance my, maybe it's career, whatever. How is it that we can use it as a tool? And I think it's about breaking it down into being a tool. And so when I talk about being welcome, it's really about, for me, flipping the words in which we talk about technology, or talk about being digital equity, all these words. It's kind of like, well, what are these words? They've already got these connotations, and somebody's decided this is what this is, and somebody's pulled that down, and therefore I don't fit into it. And so the big thing is like, well, our communities really know what it is that we need. We're very aware that on all economic levels that we're not seeing the advancements we would like to, or that we see barriers, and definitely we go back to those words, trust from our communities to use, to use digital spaces, but also vice versa, and the fact that we can solve our own problems and build capacity within our communities. So when I say welcome, I mean like, I want, like, that's a big part of my work, is like, well, this is only a tool, and you guys already do all this work, and we've already got all these words, they're in our vocabulary for thousands of years, and this is just a new way of getting it out there.
I love that. I love that. Eteroa Cam, what do you think are some of the biggest barriers that Māori and Pacific communities face?
Because I think a lot of them have just been said, but I think like I'm at 300 on the what's it called, the trust. So there was like community, bless this community, they asked the software developer to come make them a language app. And bless our people, we're like, yes, lovely, I can't wait to do it. So they trusted this fella to come do it, and they asked this person to grab all the details from all the elders and stuff, and then come to the end of the app, he goes and then charges the community. And then what was said was the elders that gave the wisdom went with the fella, and they all passed away, and all that information that was gone with them had gone with the fella that was a developer. And like I'll just share some light, because those are some common stories that are happening around in our community, where there's not enough of our people that understand the process of software development or the process of building technology, where we can help them keep an eye out, or if not, guide them to the right path, or guide them to a place where they have ownership. So what's it called? It's a real, the trust is a big thing, because after that situation, I came in with my team, and what makes it harder is because they've been hurt before, it's even harder for them to try and trust even our own people to try help them. So like a big barrier is that trust, because we don't know, but some of other communities have been hurt in the process of trying to understand technology. And I think what's it called, for those that are listening, don't hurt them again. Just to the top of here, like it's just, they are elders, but they are still people, and technology is for people. And to be the best person to build technology, you have to understand what it's going to do to benefit people. So that's a massive barrier, but what's it called, that's just like a very realistic view of what's really happening inside in the front mind of things. And I think it's important for us to know that we always say trust, fear, and all that stuff, but it's a big thing, like a capital F for fear, capital T for trust, because it needs to be addressed, and I'm happy that we can all come around here and talk about it. So that's my 50 cents on that, on another barrier. Bless.
No, that wasn't 50 cents. That was like 5 million. That's how much that was worth. Like, priceless. Cam, I'd love to hear from you, because I know you've recently, I've just celebrated you and graduating from Mission Ready. Amazing achievement, moving into the developer space. So huge congrats to Cam out here. I'd really love to hear about your journey and what you think are acting as barriers for us to find a way to move forward into digital inclusion.
Oh, I was just thinking, yeah, the barriers, like what everyone else has been saying on the panel, trust is a big one. I think trust within ourselves too, like especially for our rangatahi, like, you know, there's a household of, in my household, there's 5 children, and like not one of them has thought of technology as a career, or you know what I mean, in that type of space. And as much as I keep drumming it into them, oh, why don't you go down this track, and you know, why don't you go down and do a bit of that, or they just don't see it as a viable option. So yeah, I just look inside my own household, and I just sort of think, fuck, man, what are we doing wrong, or what is society not doing to try and encourage, you know, my children to get into tech? So I suppose that's my little 5 cents, Julie.
No one's up 5 cents out here. You're all priceless. So you can't put a dollar bill to what you're sharing. And I'd really love to take that to the next step in terms of, okay, so we've started to talk about fear and trust as some big barriers, trust in ourselves. And what do you think? Let's think about institutions. So let's look at education sector. Let's look at obviously the government as an extension of that. And then thinking about organizations. What do you think that they should be doing to help facilitate digital inclusion? And I love how, Kris, you talked about during COVID, there was this immediate reactive decision-making, which was very tactical, that goes, let's just drop devices. And there was no like cultural sensitivity or insight like wrapped into that thinking. It was very tactical and very reactive. So I'd really love to hear from each and every one of you, and from, you know, we can start with the education sector and then move our way through. But what do you think, what would you love to see, or what do you think some of these institutions, organizations could be doing to help facilitate digital inclusion for Māori and Pacific? Nina, you're off mute, so I'm picking on you.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, with all those things, it'd be really nice to see less bureaucracy around stuff. By the time we've made decisions, I mean, unlike dropping devices where it was, you know, it was a reaction to the current climate, it takes a really long time to get change. And by the time we have, you know, change happening, like we see the Pacific Action Plan coming into play, that's been a really long time. And so by the time we get a decision made, our communities, you know, the gap is only getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And I think part of that is where the conversations are. Like if you're sitting in an office and there's a bunch of top dogs and going, how do we, you know, bridge the digital divide? Well, you're not going to get anywhere. The thing is it's on the ground. People, as I said before, people know what it is that they need. They know that they're not. Well, they're in fear. I think a lot of our community are in fear. I've had parents be like, you know, I'm struggling to help my kids because I don't know how to use things. Or there's a financial barrier to be able to get something to then be able to actually have a go at it. And so it's where the conversations are. Like if you go to a family and say, what is it that you need? What is it? Is it an hour of somebody's time to sit down and go, this is how a browser works, or let's look at Scratch, or I don't know, have a bit of a you know, a tech taster? Is it an hour worth of time, or is it hours worth of conversations where we're trying to find blanket approaches? Because we're trying to find, even within our own communities, you know, everyone's going, well, what is it that we can do for Māori? What is it that we can do for Pacific? What is it that we can do for migrant communities? But you can't, you know, there's silos within those, there's communities within those communities, and that there is no blanket approach unless you want to go door to door, drop devices, and then spend time. So to me, it really comes down to working with, you know, working with the ground roots, working with the communities and what it is that they need and they want, and being able to go, cool, make decisions then and there. So that's where I say bureaucracy, you know, it gets the better of us all the time. Like to see that change.
Nina. Thank you. Thank you for that honesty. Kris, Eteroa, Cam?
I'll give it a crack, eh? No one from the Ministry of Education on this panel?
Safe space. We've got you. We'll protect you.
Oh, wow.
Look, hey, the biggest challenge I see for our young people coming through is, and being a teacher, I can say this about myself, is they're getting to high school and they haven't seen stuff. They haven't seen the tech industry. And what I say to people is it's hard for kids to dream of stuff they've never seen. So a big thing for us is around exposure to this, but also tying into our creative side and kinesthetic learning and bringing that physical learning into the classroom, which is sometimes difficult for our teachers because there's so many other priorities, I'll call them, around what they need to achieve. And, you know, a lot of that's driven by literacy and numeracy data. But, you know, I look back at my schooling career and I think that I really need to do, what was it back then, fifth form and sixth form, English and maths in that. And I think how could my future have changed if learning pathways were more non-linear for our people and non-chronological, knowing that, you know, everyone develops at a different speed and different pace. So I'd like to see a lot more non-linear pathways for our kids, right from primary school up to high school into industry or into tertiary studies. That is not the traditional NCA level 1, 2, 3 tertiary, because I think, you know, we're a group of individuals who can watch and learn rather than read a massive text and come up with a big long answer. So I really like some of the stuff that some of the smaller groups are trying to do, where it's a more practical, hands-on development. And I really like to see more corporate industry and companies come into that space and you know, offer pathways, especially in the regions. I think the regions is a really untapped market, and with the ability to work remotely now, a lot of our rangatahi don't want to leave their whenua, their homeland. So, you know, there's an opportunity there for them to, you know, create opportunities for employment in the regions for them. So, yeah.
That's awesome.
I could go on forever.
No, I know, I love it. It's brilliant. It's brilliant. I'm going to make these a little bit sharper from you, Eteroa and Cam. Eteroa, what do you feel as though industry, the actual tech industry, could be doing to support digital inclusion? How could they really be embodying allyship to increasing diversity and to creating those pathways direct into our Māori Pacific communities?
Oh, I think corporates need to, what's it called? They need to really team up with not only the government that are helping, but also these really small groups that are actually right there with them face to face, 7 days a week, 24 hours, all day, every day, you know, because they are because if corporates really want, like sometimes corporates go and find consultants and all that stuff, but you know, the message gets lost in the chain. It's like playing Chinese whisper, like it's not going to be the same kind of message. So they need to go in and really talk to the people that are actually doing the hard yards, because they know exactly what they want, what the community wants and what they need. But also I feel like corporates need to kind of step in so there's a lot of things happening with the government where they're trying, like Sister Nina said, they're trying to do like a blanket approach. So there's this scheme where they try and make kids who have, who haven't even finished school or who come out of school and have no experience in anything in tech, and they say that they're going to make you an AI developer in 6 weeks. No, it doesn't work like that. No. You've got to be very careful about those little government initiatives where they try and speed up the process of being a developer. There's no such thing in my eyes where you can be an AI developer and be extremely bomb in 6 weeks. So I feel like, corporate needs to really hi, we won't hire people if they think they're bots and come here with 6 weeks. We will hire people who work hard, play hard, and also come and bring their true selves to work and kind of feel. So I feel like a lot of our people need to also watch out too, because oh my gosh, honestly, I saw an ad from TEC about something the futures, and they make us look like some kids from World Vision. No, we are not like that at all. We are kids that are, we are fed by the mana, and we don't need to look like that. We have the skills and we have the ability to learn the skills. So that's my quick ass snap for that. Over to you, Cameron.
I love that. Before we switch to Cam for a minute, I want to sort of double down, because I know that I know myself, I've experienced racism in the technology industry. I know I'm not alone in experiencing racism once I enter the tech industry. And I think there's also a big job for industries to facilitate, not only try and bring forth Māori and Pacific into their organizations, into their houses, but actually create those houses to be culturally safe or just safe. And I'd love to hear your thoughts on that as well, if you have any. Eteroa, sorry.
Oh, me. Or like how they make us feel at corporate, or sorry, just to understand that. Or how they make. Okay, there's still a lot of work to be done. Okay. You must be aware that when you walk into these rooms, you will be the only one there, or probably the most, one out of like 4 in the company. They are working towards it, but the thing that's happening currently, it's actually the Māori Pacificers that are currently in there that are moving there, which is good, but it's not good enough because we need the leaders to move with us. So, like I said in one of my other things, the whala has been open, but the whala needs to build into an actual whale where we can actually have foundation for us to grow more in these corporate areas, so that when the next generation of our people come in, they have a place to stay, they have a place that they can make them feel at home, and they have a place where they know that they can be their true self at work. So to be continued, but, watch the space.
Oh, thank you for answering that question. I know it's a difficult question to answer, and you've done it so beautifully, and you've articulated a lot of feelings. So thank you, Eteroa. That was amazing. Cam, what do you think? I know you're entering the industry. You've gone on your own journey and gone into different providers. I'd love to hear about what would have supported you on your journey, and or where do you see improvements?
I'd like to see government or corporates offer projects, where some of our tauira can come in and, just to stand in that space and just get a feel for that atmosphere of, the pressure cooker situations that go on inside the development team, or even just to watch how agile team works, or how a scrum master works, just to get those little feels, I'd like to see more of that, not just those what do you call them, those weekend hackathons. That's it. Yep. But actuals, actual building stuff, and
paid, of course, paid.
Bit of paid action. Yeah, that'll be nice. I'd like to see that. If I could add something to the table, I'd like to see a little bit more of that going on.
Amazing.
I was fortunate with my own journey to be part of projects, so I think they add value to someone's not only their CV, but their experiences and stuff like that. So
that's incredible. So I want to switch to something, kind of like change it up and make it a little bit more positive, and talk about what grassroots initiatives, because I want to speak to that, that are already happening in your local community that you believe are creating social impact and improving digital inclusion and just empowering our communities. And Nina, I hope you speak about your own amazing initiative, because if you don't, I will, and I don't think you want that either. So I'd love to hear about what local initiatives do you think are working to create and facilitate digital inclusion?
Okay, I'll start then. So my own project, so Tangata Moana Trust, we've been very fortunate in basically starting and producing a Pacifica Minecraft world. And with that, we work with the beautiful students of Bromley School, which is based down here in Ototahi. They are year 5 and 6. And we as a trust, we teach them cultural components. So might be get somebody from the community to come in and teach them about how to build a whale, and then they regurgitate that into an asset. They then build on Blockbench, and we place into Minecraft to hopefully have one launched by the end of this year. I think that is an amazing, it's been an amazing project, because we've come from, well, for me, it's all about arts and heritage. I believe that our artists hold our cultural knowledge, and that definitely in a New Zealand context, through all levels, it's the most accessible way to access our culture, regardless of what generation you are from, and what language capacity you have. And to come from the arts and then go, right, we're talking about building identity, we're talking about building belonging, we're giving ourselves cultural knowledge, and then from there, how do we safekeep that for future generations, but then also how do we use these other tools that are new to regurgitate what we've learnt and propel the same innovation in new ways. And you just, I mean, we've been working with them since December last year, and you know, the first meeting that we had with these kids, we asked them where they're from, and they're all going, oh, you know, I'm from New Zealand. And then now you ask them where they're from, they're like, I'm Sarai, my mother comes from this village, my father comes from this village. And you really see the confidence. We had a beautiful time working with the botanical gardens down here, where the kids were telling botanists all about their plants from their stories. So, you know, the coconut tree is seen in the eel. But then the botanist saying, well, no, this is how it travelled here, and having this really nice discourse of how we can have culture and our stories, but then how we can translate them to still have meaning for us. And that, again, technology is just a tool.
That's such a beautiful, and I will hype you up just briefly. I won't go on too long, but I for me personally, when I came across your initiative, that somehow it surfaced up, and I was like, what the heck, like, this is amazing, the convergence of taking on that role of teaching cultural knowledge, ancestral knowledge, lifting identity, belonging, confidence within all of those beautiful young people. And technology is the secondary, it's the facilitator, it's the tool, and really doubling down and creating that connection also between community and between generations. And I like, just to really dial this up, like, Nina's bringing in elders from the wider Pacific community into the school to teach cultural practices and create that bond and knowledge, and then converging, obviously, traditions into a modern form when creating that Pacifica Minecraft, which I just think is one of the most incredible and innovative. Yeah, obviously I'm like one of your #1 fans, but anyway, so what does everyone else think? What other local initiatives? And I know Eteroa too, you've been doing some fantastic work in the community yourself, just to gas you up as well. Officially a teacher, accredited teacher-ish, I think I saw, but love your work too. So maybe I'll throw to you, Eteroa, to sort of discuss what local initiatives have you seen that have been really working?
Oh, bless you, sis, making me blush. Oh, bless. So, what's it called? So, I've been working. So, my previous job, I was working for a charitable trust called Pam Ferguson, and they did a lot of work. So, some of you might know of them as OMG Tech. So, what's it called? I did 2 years with them. So, we were teaching from year 5s all the way up to, like our sister Nina, all the way to our kaumatuas. So, that would be in coding and getting them to code robots. So, we built these real cute robots. Oh, they don't look cute, they're quite ugly, but it's the code that's in the inside. And we get them to code, so we got them to code into the Māori, Samoan, Niuean, and Tongan. And it's just very basic stuff like going forward, going backwards, but it kind of gives them the ability to be like, hey, if you can learn code in Pālangi, why not in your language, eh? So I was just giving them that full ownership. I did work with the Atahu community in Porirua. So for those that don't know Tokelau, oh, beautiful island, very beautiful island. And the reality with them was they were sinking, and their language was also in a very danger zone. So we created a language app, and just like our sister Nina, we did work with our kaumatuas and our elders, and man, they're real proud, eh? Like all of a sudden they're all downloading it on their phones and stuff. But it was good because for a developer, we always want to build stuff on real good technology, but with our communities we have to be realistic because a lot of them have very old school Androids. So the challenge was to try and make sure that it had the same great quality but on those brick phones. So much love to our communities, but it was just the ability to make sure that they can still have that real fancy feeling while they have their amazing Androids and stuff. Because honestly, not many of us or they have like the iPhone 4s. I haven't seen one for ages, so it was good to be able to build something for that too. So if you want to, yes, sister,
I want to quickly ask you, why do you think those initiatives worked?
Oh, because they were in charge. We what's it called? We came with the skill. We came with like, oh hey, this is how you do it. It did take longer. So keep in mind, it does take longer because they need to, what's it called? Sometimes they say stuff. A big thing is a lot of them go off scope. So like, we're meant to go here and they're over there, and we have to bring them back to the, realisticness, put in another sprint. But they owned it. They even the, what's it called? The App Store logins and the passwords and also the IP, all theirs. We were just the tool. They were the driving force. So
I love that. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing. Kris and Cam. Kris, I know you're going to be embarking on a beautiful new journey. And I know we'll be absolutely acing it, but I'd love to hear about, how do you think your role in moving into digital technologies as a teacher, what are some things you're thinking about as you take on that next chapter?
Yeah, I think just back to that stuff around exposure, and really making some clear pathways for the kids and showing them people like you guys, where you guys are and what you guys are doing. I think the more people we can get in front of them and show them this is a job. Oh, what, making videos? Yeah, this is a job, or making something. And for me, that's really important that we train up the teachers to identify that as well. We can only go and have a pretty light touch, Eteroa, around that PLD space, that we're not there every day. They're the ones there, sharing their knowledge and sharing their expertise. But I think we just have to plant that seed in the teacher's head first in the school, and do lots more in the community to support that. We've got a lot of programs up in Whangarei trying to pathway the kids into tech spaces, but it's just like everyone said, they're just short, sharp bursts, but there's no follow on after that to support them. So I think there needs to be a little bit of work around that pastoral side once they leave your safe nest, and where you look the same as everyone else, and what that looks like for them when they go into a foreign space, So yeah, so for me, it's how do I look at all those cool jobs out there that can earn them quite a bit of money and teach them those little bits of things that they could take with them and put in their kit there and say, oh, I could do that. Cool. Let's do some micro skills on that space and see if we can get you up to another level.
Yeah, amazing, Kris. I'm really excited. I'm sure I can hopefully volunteer some of my friends to support you in what you're doing next. Cam, what about you? Have you seen some local initiatives that have been working, or got some ideas? I mean, you don't have to share them, obviously they're yours, but just some early thoughts.
Just one initiative I was a part of was the kōrero digital initiative with Lee and his team, which was really cool. The bro Lee, which was targeted towards whānau in their twilight years, so to speak, the higher digits in age. But they were awesome, you know, like probably more of a eye opener for them, you know, and then you could sort of see them telling their muckles or whatnot, hey, come over here, grab a computer and log in and follow. So we had a lot of fun with our whānau in that space. I wish it could go longer. Obviously, pilot scheme run on behalf of Lee's team and Te Wānanga o Aotearoa. Those were the only ones I was really a part of. I know there are others. Lee and his team had Te Maui Hangorau, I think, was another initiative that was showcasing technology aimed at our rangatai, which was really cool. So those are the only ones that come to mind first. I haven't really got any ideas on how to do it. I suppose if I had a choice, I'd probably just back the ones up that are already in place instead of creating another one that just kind of in competition. So
yeah, love that. So we're going to probably wrap up. I have one question from the awesome Matt that I want to share with you, but I just sort of, before I ask this question, I wanted to kind of hear any final thoughts. So when we're thinking about creating digital inclusion for Māori and Pacific, any final thoughts that you have on the topic, either from what do you think is one of the most important things to be fixed, what do you think is missing, like it's just completely not present, where you think allyship can be better embodied? What are some final reflections? Cam, I won't pick on you again, so I'm going to start back up with the wonderful Nina. You're on mute.
Thank you. A thing that I wrote on here while we've been going through this is it's really easy to talk about, well, everyone talks about Māori and Pacific in all areas, particularly in this digital equity space. It's all deficit speaking. It's all about the deficit. When it's like between government, corporate, everywhere in between, is that we're actually the greatest opportunity. Our population's only growing. If you're not doing anything Māori and Pacific, you're not relevant soon. And so that really needs to be flipped. Yeah, that 100% needs to be flipped. But also that to flip that, we need to start thinking about how is it that others ally? We can't bridge anything if we don't have capacity, and we can't build capacity if we don't get opportunities. And sometimes that means, okay, I've got this project or I've got this idea and I'm not quite sure about it. Or who is it that I talk to? Who could I uplift and give an opportunity to step back and give resources, and what would happen there? It's about stepping back, giving opportunities and stepping back and building capacity in our communities, because that's where the real opportunity is. We're worth millions and billions and trillions of dollars. and people need to start thinking of it like that, not like, how are we going to get poor Māori and Pacific people to be in these spaces? It's like, how do we make sure that we're future-proofing our companies and our organizations in this country?
Are you running for PM soon? Because I'm happy to vote for you. Like totally ready
I'd
for
be
it.
no good. I'd get fired. There'd be a coup. It'd be rubbish.
Oh, amazing. Eteroa, Kris, Cam, final thoughts. Final thoughts.
What were the could you sorry, repeat the final thoughts rundown?
It's just if you were closing out on some final thoughts about how do we create digital inclusion for Māori and Pacific. Could be one word, it could be Nina running for PM in the future, or anything that comes to mind, some closing reflections from our kōrero tonight.
Oh, bless, what's it called? Drop the report about writing about digital inclusion and just rock up to the community. They're not going to bite. They're not going to hurt you. They're going to be extremely grateful for you because your time and your skills is something that they prayed for. And it's something that they've been longing, not for them, but for their family. And you should, and you know, if you do rock up to one of these things, you know, they bring the whole family. Like you see like 6 vans rocking up and that's one family. And I'm like, man, usually stuff like that, it's like something really big and important, like either like a church service, but the ability, but the fact is they come because they want to help their kids and their kids' kids. So do know that if you do, actually, I'm not going to say if you have time, make the time. Tired of being like, oh, make your time. No, you know, if you have volunteer hours, don't
prioritize.
Yeah, don't plant a tree. We can plant heaps of trees together, but come and influence the next generation of Aotearoa. So bless you, and I hope to see you there. Thank you, fam.
I think we've got another PM. This is amazing. I'm ready to vote. Here we go, a new party. Here we go. Kris and Cam.
I think for me, local people for local solutions for our local communities. I think that's the key, eh? Like more of their people in front of them, talking the kōrero, doing the mahi, showing the paths. That's the only way to do it, eh? Paint the journey so that it's intergenerational change rather than just focused at one target market.
Yeah, love that. Love that, Kris. Brilliant answer. Thank you. Cam.
Yeah, tautoko, Kris. Just an example, you know, you see our iwi leaders, you know, when they make a simple website for their iwi, then you check out who built it. It's from this crowd from somewhere else. So, you know, that's kind of a little bit frustrating too. But I like to see tech sewed into the children a little bit early, you know, like awesome these initiatives that are happening after school, eh? You know, it should be inside the school. I think, you know, my boy, he's year 10. And when we were going through his subjects, there was not one IT paper in there, eh? And I was like really I was actually really brassed off about that, you know, because there's just nothing in there. I won't drop the name of the school in here, but yeah, I'd like to see it sewn inside the school curriculum. Yeah.
Amazing. I think that answers your question, Matt. I think it's a resounding yes. In terms of definitely making digital computing compulsory in Māori Pacific for Māori Pacific, for everyone really, right? Ultimately, This is the future of work. This is workforce of the future, is all the buzzwords right now. And with by 2040, 38% of the whole of Aotearoa is going to be Māori or Pacific. So we are the workforce of the future. So I love everything you've shared. Thank you so much for sharing your beautiful thoughts, your humor, your sass. Love a little bit of sass in here, and just thank you everyone for everything that you've shared with us tonight. I'm going to pass it over to Benji and Bella, and actually I'm on time to close us out this evening, and thank you everyone for your beautiful kōrero and talanoa.
Kia ora, everyone. I just want to reflect back, actually take the opportunity quickly, since we do have a couple of minutes, to reflect on a few things that I heard tonight. First of all, Eteroa, thank you so much for sharing your wonderful story about the developer in the community. Was that your own community with the elders and that way that I think that cultural competency is just immediately lost when you have to bring in sort of an outside expert. Cam, I want to reflect on you sharing about your own experiences with your household. Thank you so much for bringing that sort of real front of mind knowledge into the space. Kris, the quote, I actually wrote it down. It's hard for them to dream of stuff they've never seen. Was just beautiful and poetic, and gotta remember that. And Nina, I think Pacifica Minecraft World is incredible. Just massive tautoko for getting that like going and really speaking to kids in that school in beautiful Ōtautahi. Thank you guys. Annabelle, did you have anything that you wanted to add before we close?
You basically ticked off all of the lists I had written down of things that really impacted me, but also really a few key points that struck me was the building the foundation of trust. I think for any innovation or any project to be truly successful, trust has to be there, and so I'm really heard that from all of you tonight, so thank you for sharing. Also 100% on the fact that you can't be what you can't see, and you know, creating those pathways and those opportunities to be in those environments and really soak it all in and really see yourself in that future is also incredibly important. As well as really listening to the communities. I really enjoyed hearing all of you echo that listening is so important, and it really being driven from the community because they know what is truly best for their own people. So thank you all for sharing your insights. I have absolutely loved hearing from all of you, such rich experiences, and it makes me really excited for the future of Eteroa and the tech industry, hearing all of these. So thank you.
And all of the future prime ministers that we got lined up. He karakia tātou. Ka pā ki tua, ka pā ki waho, ka pā ki te whare, ka pā ki te rua, ka pā ki te pau e tūnei, kia mā te ariki, kia mā te tauira, no hau e rua tau, e tānei te waiora e, whānoa, whānā, haramai te toki, haumie, huie, tai ki e. O Māori e te whānau.